California, we haven't forgotten about you guys. Every time we don't do stories about California, people in California get upset. Let us do a story for you guys to excite you a little bit. State Farm not satisfied with the 17% rate hike in California. They're asking for nearly 30%. And you know California politicians are not going to be okay with this, but Tom's got an opinion on this. So the 17% hike, California homeowners plans to request an additional 11% to get nearly to 30%. San Francisco Chronicle reported a week after securing approval to raise home insurance rates by 17%. State Farm General revealed plans to ask regulations for an additional 11% following an emergency approval by Commissioner Ricardo Lara due to recent LA fires. California wildfire victims criticized State Farm for lowballing damage estimates, a practice Senator Josh Hawley said the company has been accused of in other U.S. disasters. Despite this, Lara granted the 17% hike, effective June, though State Farm originally sought 30% increase in June 2024. Tom.
Well, this story won't die, and the reason it won't die is because the problem can't die easy, and it won't die easy. And so State Farm is saying, I need more money to run my company effectively and provide coverage in California. And I think State Farm was frustrated that they didn't get the increase they wanted, but they saw the backlash. They saw what's going on in the media. They saw that the people that were surveyed was like, hell no, I don't want to be put on Fair Plan by accident. So it's like, Pat, you and I could own houses in Malibu and get forced on the Fair Plan. Then we have no choice. And we're like, wait, we don't want to be on Fair Plan. Sorry, dude, you get Fair Plan, which has a cap, remember? Cap of $3 million to $3.5 million. And I think it's being raised to $4 million of coverage for your house. So, Vinny, if you're forced to go on Fair Plan and you have a $10 million house in Malibu, guess what happens? Burns to the ground, you get $4 million, $3 million from Fair Plan, and the rest you eat because you're rich and you can afford it.
Oh, my God.
Well, there's a lot of people that are frustrated by that. And so I think State Farm read the tea leaves and said, you know, if we leave California, Newsom and everybody here have got more trouble. And let's face it, State Farm wants to operate at a profit, but they have paid out record amount of dollars. Now, to Josh Hawley's point, have those payouts been fair for each and every policyholder? Like, did you needed $400 for your house, and they said, here's $360, take it or leave it, and you had to eat the $40. You know, that happens a lot with adjusters. But this is State Farm saying, look, you want me to, there's a little bit of State Farm can do this at gunpoint now, and there's a little bit of California kind of screwed this thing up. And then and now you've got this playing out. This wouldn't be happening if California had good management of the infrastructure systems, of the water systems or reservoir systems, a well-vetted and well-equipped fire department. They would have been ready for this. With the wind, you know, driving those fires still have caused tremendous damage? Yes, but would have been tremendously less, and you wouldn't have State Farm on the brink of leaving the state, which puts all these people in a pinch. So, you know what? I'd love to see, you know, because I have sat down with people that have brought me business plans. So has Pat. I'd love Gavin Newsom to sit down and say, look, you've got aspirations to run on a national stage, but what's your business plan for California? How do you make this work? Take me through the plan. How do you deal with the big three in California, which right now is border, you know, homelessness, insurance? Those are like the three that are bouncing around regardless of who you survey. I'd love to see Gavin Newsom sit down with somebody and talk about what are you going to do? And, you know, set aside some of your hand gestures and stuff and just sit down and say, here's the fix for insurance in California. Because I got a lot of friends that still live there that are asking that exact question.
Adam.
So it really sucks to live in California from a math perspective. I get it that there's mountains and there's beaches and you can ski and surf on the safe day, but to live and to afford California, show me how the math is mathing on this one, guys. Here's just some quick numbers for you. The median household income for America is $80,000. The median household income in California is $90,000. Okay, so it's a $10,000 difference. Now, let's talk about homeownership. The average homeownership in America is between $400,000 and $500,000. So, if you're looking at a home in California, that's going to cost you between $800,000 and $900,000. So it's almost double the price of a house in the rest of America, but the average income is 20% more. How the hell do you afford to live in California?
What opinion do you have specific about this?
So now you own this house and now you can barely afford it. So now you have to pay 30% premium on insurance that you didn't necessarily account for. So this is just a math issue. You know what this reminds me of? It's almost like the reverse COVID thing.
Yeah,
where
but
it's
let me
kinda
ask
like,
you this, though. But here's the question, though. You're the governor of Florida. You're the governor of California.
Sure. All right,
okay.
here we go.
I'm State Farm. And I tell you, hey, Gavin, respectfully, if we can't go to 30%, I'm at a loss. My board is not going to let me stay here. I have to leave the state, and I'm going to have to give you 12 months.
Yep.
So I can't afford to pay all these fire stuff that just happened, and I can't comfortably stay here. It's costing the company a lot of money, and it's making it very challenging. So what can we do here?
Well, is State Farm the only option?
They have a few options, but they've lost a lot of options.
Who else have we lost?
You want to know how many? They've lost a handful of options.
Okay.
A lot of options. But you already know you have a homeowner's insurance problem in the state of California.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, what business are we in? We're the insurance business, but not only in the insurance business, we're in the brokerage business, right? So what happens when only one carrier is the only option? Well, you're going to get screwed because you only have one option.
Yeah.
One of the best things in life is having options. So you work through a wholesaler or a BJA or an agency.
Okay, so right here, let me just
and
tell
says you have 10 different options.
In
They're
2022, Allstate paused sales of new homeowners insurance in California due to wildfire risk and higher operational costs. This is 2022 before the fire. Farmers Insurance Group began limiting coverage in California in 2023, and one of its subsidiaries, Farmers Direct Property and Casualty Company, withdrew from the state entirely later that year. Nationwide, a company informed California in 2023 that it would stop renewing all of its homeowners insurance policies in the state by June of 2025. Next month, Chubb announced in 2021 it would significantly reduce homeowners coverage in California, pointing to wildfire risk. Hartford stopped writing new homeowners insurance policies early 2024. This is a year ago. American National announced in 2023 it would stop offering homeowners insurance policies in California. Travelers announced it would not renew homeowners insurance policies for thousands of California properties in 2022 and 2023 due to wildfire risk. This is all before the big fire that happened in Malibu, Palos Verdes. So your options, they're all leaving.
Exactly. So
what do? You're the governor.
So listen, what's the basic premise of economics? Supply and demand. Demand is super high because you need homeowners insurance because, you know, fires are burning down your house. And the supply is completely limited. So who gets screwed here? The average person that just wants a house. How the hell can they afford it? That was my initial point, is that the homeownership already costs so much.
You haven't answered my question. I get your argument. What do you do if you're Newsom Tom, what do you do if you're Newsom in this situation?
Gavin Newsom, I
ask you publicly, we're doing the interview, similar to the way Megyn Kelly did with Jake Tapper.
You ask
the question. State Farm goes to 17. They're still at a loss, okay? They are still at a loss. If you don't take them to 30, they're shutting down like Nationwide, like Farmers, like Allstate, like others. What are you going to do, Governor?
If I'm Newsom, this is not a politically good answer, but this is what he has to say. And I'm not going to imitate him. You can do that, Vinny. But he's got to say, there's going to be some short-term pain because I got to give State Farm the rate increase. And I'm meeting with all the insurance companies, and I'm talking about a multi-billion-dollar plan for forestry management and reservoir management. And I'm putting these things in place in these bordered areas so that we can reduce the risk of loss when wildfires happen. And I'm putting pressure on PG&E for more active forestry management in the smaller communities, like where they had those wildfires and entire communities of 4,000 homes were wiped out. So I have to put it in two sides. California, we're going to have pain, but because I got to authorize this. Otherwise, you don't have carriers to offer it. I'm going to talk to the other carriers, and I'm going to show them what California is doing with active programs to reduce the risk of loss. Because wildfires will happen, but we can have reservoirs, we can have more fire teams, we can have response rates that are going to be there to react to it so it reduce the loss.
Okay.
That's if I'm governor, that's what I have to do, and I got to sit down with travelers and say, will you at least renew? So
now I'm going to turn around with the question with Gavin Newsom, and you're the governor. I'm going to say, that's a great answer, and that's fair. But let me show you this other thing here. This is as of 7 months ago, 10 months ago. California is home to nearly 40 million people, 55% of whom are estimated to own homes. If you are a current prospective California homeowner, finding home insurance may be a challenge. In fact, the California Association of Realtors 2023 annual housing market survey found that nearly 7% of real estate deals in the state fell out of escrow because buyers couldn't afford insurance. So Gavin Newsom, question for you. If State Farm is asking for a 17% rate, that means with their current rate, 7% of buyers are still following through. What will this 7% be if you allow State Farm to raise their insurance policy prices, which they have to, 30%? What is that 7% going to turn
I have
into?
analysts in my office looking at this, and we're hoping to cut that in half.
How are you going to do it?
Because you have to get carriers that are willing to write the insurance.
You're talking politics, but you're talking politics. So this is the part that he has a very, very big problem at his hand, and I don't know, quite frankly, what he's going to do with it. So, Adam, unless if you have an answer, I'm going to the next one.
So you say all the time that bad policies have consequences. These are the consequences of basically all the policies that have led to this.
Yep.
If you want an answer, how did you end up in Texas? You got recruited for the most part. You tell the story about Governor. I think it was Rick Perry at the time.
Yep.
That took you to a baseball game
And the
with
mayor
Nolan
of
Ryan.
Frisco at the time, an expansion-minded mayor named Masso.
Thank you. They recruited. So if I'm Gavin Newsom, I need to go back, hat in hand, to the rest of these carriers and start recruiting. You've been in the insurance business for 20 plus years. You understand what it means to have relationships with a multitude of carriers.
Adam, I
They're
heard that
screwed
already.
here.
but what I'm saying is
You need to recruit. You need to recruit.
they're not
them.
coming.
Well,
No.
They're not coming.
then you need to bring them back.
No,
you need to figure out.
But you don't understand what I'm saying to you, Adam. On one end, if you don't allow the insurance company to raise their rates 30%, they're leaving. On the other end, if you allow them to increase the rates of going up 30% for them to be profitable, if you do that, homeowners are not buying houses. This is a double-edged sword for the state of California that is not going to be addressed that quickly. This is not going to be addressed. This is a travesty. This is catastrophic. This is not something small.
This is 20 years in the
This
making.
is not something. This is what I'm going to. And guys, I don't mean to push you guys around and chat. What I'm trying to get to is there is no answer to this right now.
What would you do?
He doesn't have it.
So you tricked me.
Of course.
No matter what
The
I said,
point
you're
is-
like, no.
The
Okay,
point
got it.
is there is nothing, unless if you guys come up with a creative idea,
Yeah.
there is nothing he can do here.
Here's an
One
idea.
way or
Run
another.
for president and get the hell out of California,
Yeah.
Newsom.
But do you know what the real answer is here? Do you know what the real answer is here?
What is
if
it?
you have to choose between the two pills, which one do you take? Allow the insurance companies to raise the rates, or now that 7% becomes 20% of people are not buying their homes because they can't afford homeowners insurance. Which of those two pills do you take?
You got to raise the rates.
You got to raise the rates. You got to raise the rates. Because guess what? You know why you got to raise the rates? Because I'm not buying a house if I don't have insurance, because I don't think you're taking care of the fire stuff anytime soon.
Nope.
I don't know if you're taking care of the earthquakes anytime soon. Why would I buy a home without a homeowner's insurance? I'm not going to be doing that. There's a name for it they call, right? What do they call it? The people that free ball? What was
Fair
it?
plan?
No. There's a name for
they
people
don't
that
care.
go
Oh, they're
without
just free
any
balling
insurance.
it. Yeah, they're free balling
There
it.
was
yeah.
a name for it. They don't even do fair or anything. There's a
Yeah.
term they use in
Self-insure?
California. No. There's a term they use
Self-insure.
in California for those who go without having homeowners insurance. There's a term they use. I don't know what the term is called. Uninsured homeowners. There's a term for it.
They're just rolling the dice.
No, there's a
man.
there's a
They are
term
just
they use.
rolling the
Anyways,
dice.
okay. So that's California.
Why
Let me
the
go
hell
to-
would you buy a house at this point?
We have the Vault conference that's coming up. We do this once a year. This year we're expecting 12,000 people there. Last year we had 1,500 husbands and wives that were there. And one of the things the guys, the David consultant, they say a lot of people ask about, how to balance this with family and the kids and all this other stuff. How do you do this? I said, listen, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do a free webinar on family, how to be a killer in business without killing your marriage? And I said, I'm going to talk about all the mistakes I've made, okay? And we're going to talk about how we balance all this stuff together. So that picture they put together, for some of you guys that think that's really me with all those hands, it's not.
Like
it's just
Goro
great
from
job.
Mortal Kombat.
Shout out to our guys at Graphic Design. Rob, if you want to play the clip, go ahead and play the clip. You know what's scary for some people is they want to be a killer in business. They want to do a great job as an executive, as a CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, but they don't want to kill their marriage. So how do you balance that out? You want to go make all the money, travel, win for your family, but you want to stay married. You want to have a good relation with your kids. You want your kids to still want to see you. How do you do this? There's 4 things, by the way. You ready? Write these down. Number 1, you're allowing your family and friends make you feel guilty for your vision, which is going to create resentment towards them. You don't want that. Number 2 is you lack clarity around the vision. You don't really know what you're doing it for. So work-life balance is a question that comes up for people that are not clear of what they want to do. They haven't had the conversation with their family. Number 3 is the concept of being intentional with the time you're spending with your family. And number 4 is maybe you're just looking for an excuse to not work that hard. because your family's not bothering you. You're just looking for it. This concept of work-life balance comes up every single day with people who ask me this question. On June 11th, I'm hosting a free webinar for 1 hour to talk about work-life balance with the people that don't have the answer to the questions there, just like I didn't have it at that time. I'm married now with 4 kids, running all these businesses. Some days you feel like you don't know what the hell you're doing. All I'm gonna do is share with you mistakes I've made and things that are working for me. So if it's important to you, get registered, tell your wife, your husband, get everybody on together to listen up. We're gonna go through it for 1 hour again on June 11th. Register because it's limited seating on this webinar. I'll see you there. Come join us, guys. June 11th, 12:30. Put it in your calendar. By the way, I may have my wife and one of my kids maybe join me as well. Rob, what is the website for them to go register for this free webinar?
VTwebinar.com.
VTwebinar.com. We have limited to 3,000 seats, so just make sure you go get registered. Again, VTwebinar.com.
Can I say one thing about this?
Of course.
Because you've done how many webinars? I mean, the last.
I've done a lot of webinars,
Yeah.
but we've never done a webinar on this. This has been coming up a lot the last 6
In
to
my
12
opinion,
months.
based on the conversations I have with everyone out there, this actually might be the most important webinar you've ever done.
I'm in the process of figuring it out. I'm in the process of learning this stuff, but I can't wait to have this one with you guys.
Well, you know the secret.
We're going to have a lot of fun with this. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.